You're a professional developer now. Well, I got a bit carried away, but it's quite exciting. You have completed the part 0 of CSS, and today we shall be building our first mini project. We have this article, and we will be taking it to this. Also, this video concludes the part 0 of CSS section, which means that you are already familiar with CSS properties, attributes, and you're ready to start applying the concepts you have learned by building more complex layouts in websites. This project will be your first milestone through the realm of CSS. Here we have a very simple article. You can build this yourself and add any kind of content that you please. We have a few headings, a link, which is incredibly important. You have to add a link within your article and then a few paragraphs. It's styled with the default styling offered by the browser and it looks like this. We're going to use CSS to convert that into this. Let's begin. First of all, I shall add a new style tag. We're going to target the body tag and give it a background color. I already have a background noted down. You can select any other color, but for now I am going to stick with the colors I have experimented with already. Let's go back here. There is no difference so far, which is a good thing. Next, I shall add a margin of 0. We discussed this already. And the next thing I'm going to do is that I am going to center my article tag here. Center it. I have to give it a maximum width. This is a simple but commonly known trick within CSS. You can center any element by giving it a maximum width. Let's give it a maximum width of 700 pixels and then giving it a margin of auto. And now that I saved, my article has been centered. I shall continue by adding colors and sizes for our text. What we're going to do is that we're going to define a color of hash 333, which is almost black, but this should give us a nice gray tint here. Next, I am going to define the padding 2, which is going to be 30 pixels, which should again give us a really nice spacing between all the elements. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to define the font size for both of our headings. We have an H1. I shall set its font size to 32 pixels and then an H2 and we're going to set its font size to 22 pixels. Let's go back and you might note that there is no difference because the font size of headings is already defined as 32 pixel and 22 pixel in most browsers. But if we open another browser like maybe iOS or Opera, it might have a different size and it's important that we specify it manually to ensure that it remains similar between all browsers. Let's continue with our next step. I shall define some margin on both of our headings. We're going to define margin bottom and let's say 10 pixel and then margin bottom and again 10 pixel. Let's save and go back and we have this spacing here. However, we also need to put some spacing over there above our H2. So to add that, I am going to go back and then specify margin top and let's say 20 pixel. Let's go back and I don't think there's a difference. Let's try 30 pixel. Let's go back to 20 pixel, 30 pixel. Okay, I guess 30 pixel looks better. And we're almost, but we still need to style a paragraph. So we are going to specify something called line height. And what this is going to do is that it's going to increase the height or the distance between lines here. which which should make it a lot easier to read. Okay, there we go. The next thing we're going to do is that we are going to specify a margin bottom of 15 pixels here, which pretty much concludes our spacing. And the final thing I'm going to do is that we're going to style our link. So to style that, I need to specify a color. I shall specify something like blue, and then I'm going to use text decoration to remove its underline. Okay, I don't think it worked. Oops, sorry. I wanted to do none here. There we go. And the next thing I'm going to do is that I am going to use this strange style, which is basically going to apply this code only when we hover a mouse over this link. So we can do text decoration underline here, which gives us this really nice touch where if we hover over the link, it underlines it. I'm just going to steal the color I have already specified within final.html, which is not blue, or maybe just a dark shade of blue, lighter one actually. And I think this looks better. The next thing we're going to do is that we're going to set our font style, and we're also going to give us this card feeling where our article is just floating in the middle. So let's begin with a font. I'm going to go back to our body and we're going to specify font family. And like I mentioned previously, we have several different fonts here. I shall go with Arial. Save that, go back, and immediately this looks a lot nicer. I'm going to do one more thing, which is to provide a background of white on the article. And basically we have specified that slightly gray shade over our body, but we're going to use white over the article, which is going to give us the same card-like feeling in the middle. And it's better but not complete. We still need to specify some padding or margin here. I shall specify some padding 30 pixel. Let's go back, and while we're done with the spacing here, we still need some spacing above this card or above this article. So let's go back, and here this syntax means that we're specifying our margins in a clockwise direction. Just remember the direction top, right, bottom, left. The first number is going to be our top margin, the second one is going to be our right margin, then bottom margin, and so on. But if we specify only two numbers, this is going to consider the first one as top and bottom and the second one as left and right. So I shall specify all four numbers here. We are going to specify a margin top of 30 pixel, a margin right of auto, a margin bottom of 0, and then a margin left of auto once more. Let's save and go back, and we're almost done. I shall just increase this margin a little, somewhere around 50 pixel, and there we go. So to recap, we just put together everything we have been learning for the past 2 months, and we use the same properties that we have learned about so far and made a first mini project. This concludes a part 0 for CSS. Congratulations, and we're going to begin with part 1 soon.